Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. I'm Yusuf Estes, your host for Facets of Islam. Today I wanted to talk about something that might surprise you a little bit. When we talk about religion, you'd be surprised to hear this word, evolution. But that's not the facet. The facet that I want to talk about is creation. But what does the role of creation versus evolution play in Islam? Is there room in Islam to even discuss the subject of evolution? What about other religions? Consider this. In some religions, if you even say the word evolution, they're going to go white. They're going to say, ugh, don't even open up this subject. We don't want to hear about it. Others consider it and say, well, it's there, but we don't know how to resolve creation versus evolution. In fact, I found that the only one that really has the answers is Islam. And this important facet of Islam, creation, actually explains evolution at the same time. There is, according to Islam, a God, one only God, creator, sustainer of all that exists. And his name is Al-Khaliq. This is one of his attributes. He has many attributes. We call them his names, but it's still Allah. And this is one of the things that he does. Al-Khaliq, the creator. It means he is the all-creator. That means that no other creator is out there. There's no other creator existing anywhere at any time. If it exists, he created it. He created everything. The heavens, the earth, and everything in between. The mountains, the rivers, the streams, the plants, the animals, the humans, the angels, the jinn, all created by one, Al-Khaliq. But where does this subject of evolution come into play? Evolutionists, those who believe that everything evolved from something else, have a few theories that they can't really back up in proof. One, they talk about that everything all started out from a single mass. Then it exploded. And then after it exploded, that all of these other things came out of that. And then basically evolved to what we see today. They explain life in a way that they talk about at one time the earth was covered in water. And then a blue-green algae began to surface all over the earth. And then from it came some type of amoeboids that began to eat this algae, and then some larger ones that ate those, and bigger ones that ate those, and eventually became fish-like creatures. Then these fish-like creatures developed large, what do you call, gills or fins, and they began to jump out of the water, jumping out, trying to catch these gnats and bugs and butterflies and things flying over, and that's how the first wings came about, by these things jumping out and using their fins as wings. They said it happened over millions and millions of years. Then they talk about some of the other ones who creeped up on the land trying to get food, and that eventually that their fins turned into like legs, and they became the prehistoric alligators, crocodiles, snakes, and things of this nature. And from there, these things began living in trees and so on, and then their generations evolved into others. And eventually we have these huge lizards that are going about the earth, eating plants of all kinds, and then other kinds of lizards that are going to eat them. And these are the dinosaurs and Tyrannosaurus rex. And the only reason I'm laughing is because of the way it's presented in the books. It's not that we as Muslims would denounce or deny that such things happen, but it's the way they go about trying to put it all together. One of the things that they say is that these fish-like creatures jumped out of the water, and that's how wings were first developed. They said they were jumping out of the water to catch these bugs, but they forgot those bugs had wings already. Where did they get this idea from? Where did they get this notion? You said these bugs or butterflies or dragonflies are flying over, where did they get their wings? Where did they come from? And there's no answer. And when you talk about these things creeping up onto the ground, how in the world do you explain that their lungs changed from the lungs of a fish, which have to breathe in the water? They don't breathe oxygen like we do. How did that get converted? And then to talk about them becoming a bird, this is ludicrous, because birds are built totally different than fish. Completely. Ask anybody who's done even the basic study in biology and plant life and anything to do with animals. Just ask them, is it really logical? And unless they've been indoctrinated with these theories too heavy, they'll have to admit, well, there's no real proof. There's no incident in particular we can point to. In fact, in recent years, a number of scientists have come to the conclusion that there are certain things that just appeared on the scene. They did not evolve from something precursor before it. No. And they said there must be some intelligent design in the universe, and those who subscribe to that today are called, those scientists talking about ID, intelligent design. Now, they're not going to say there's a God. They're not going to go that far. Most of them are going to just say, well, there's something. There's some intelligence out there, and they're calling it ID, intelligent design. How long, I'm asking myself, how long is it going to take before they wake up and realize that that intelligent design is none other than the only God that ever existed? Let us look now to the Quran and see how the Quran deals with this subject. The Quran tells us that Allah created everything, and He brought into being the earth and so on, all from a single mass, one matter that He cleft it, and He made it go asunder. In other words, He did bring everything out of a single mass, but He didn't say He blew it up. He divided it according to His plan. And you can think about this and see what makes most sense to you, what Allah says or what a scientist says. Because if it's a blowing up, if it's just something being basically thrown into chaos, how could it come about that we have the beautiful universe we see today, with planets, stars, all in orbits, all going along their course as they go? This is what's described in the Quran about the universe. But according to the scientists who said everything just blew up, I'm going to ask him, just take a water glass and drop it on the driveway, on the cement, and what will happen? And it will shatter into millions of pieces, hundreds of pieces. Take another and drop it, and another, and they'll keep shattering and breaking up. And never one time out of billions of times is it going to happen that you drop a glass and it's going to split right down the middle and make up 2 glasses or 6 or 12 that are real nice and equal just like each other. Never, ever happened. And if I said something like that, they would say, that's crazy, this is ludicrous, where do you get that? Say, from you. You said the whole universe blew up like that. Think about it. Now, without going too far into that aspect, I just want to come back now to what Allah tells us in the Quran about the earth itself. He tells us in Quran that He brought all life out of water. Now, this is 1,400 years ago. 1,400 years ago, He said He brought all life out of water, meaning exactly what we know now from archaeological studies, what we know from our scientists and geologists, that in fact the earth was covered with water. Yeah. And all life came from that. In fact, a human being is made up of water. Over 90% of a human being is made out of water. We know that. But we didn't know it 1,400 years ago, did we? Let's talk about evolution. I want to talk about evolution. According to those who claim to follow evolution theory, they would pretty much adhere to what I just described to you, and then they carry it a step further. They've got some creatures evolving into others and becoming marmosets, or the precursor to the monkeys.
أفمن شرح الله صدره للإسلام فهو على نور من ربه فويل للقاسية قلوبهم من ذكر الله